make your way out of the Hero's Rest with one Ren Sabre, who is in agonizing pain and who could barely walk, and who is leaning very heavily on your shoulder, Sabre, because he has no other choice. If he doesn't lean on you, he's not going to be able to move. I should probably ask you at this point, what do you want to do now? You have two extremely injured heroes, basically, with you. And, like, did you even think it through what you were going to do after?
Of course we didn't think through. No.
Of course not. What the fuck?
Why would they?
Okay, in all fairness, we could not have anticipated this was going to happen, okay?
No.
This was not something that was within the realm of possibility.
So, discuss.
We need to stash Ren, though, first and foremost, though, because clearly he's like a person of interest.
We have the dog.
Cat barks.
Cat, could you find Lannon?
Cat cants his head to one side and then barks.
I think that means yes. I think we should try to get through the halls and find, like, a storage closet or room. It's less obvious than this big, like, people might be coming down here soon to figure out what the fuck is going on. Alternative idea, can we, like, start a distraction so that, like, things are, I don't know, Levon, can you set something else on fire?
Make things more chaotic.
Hawk is like, I am very good at setting things on fire. That is objectively true. However, being poisoned for so long, I'm gonna explain this out of character as well as, well, more so than in character. I gave because all of the protagonists from the game are basically superheroes, I've had to come up with a way to, like, make them not usable in combat, or like to, like, nerf them in combat. So Hawk has Magebane poisoning. Hawk has been dosed with Magebane for nearly 3 years, and its effects are still debilitating. He must spend double the mana to cast any spell and only gets half mana back through meditation. So he is not very useful in a fight right now.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
But he still might be able to set, like, a room on fire.
Hawk says, well, yes, but I don't like doing unnecessary property damage, if that is at all avoidable.
That's a weird stance, man.
Listen, all I'm saying is Weishaupt is a very ancient, beautiful fortress, and it's full of apparently lots of people that are harboring the souls of archdemons, and maybe setting it on fire isn't the best plan.
Yeah.
As you are all talking about distractions, something explodes upstairs.
Oh, well,
perfect.
that's a distraction. Let's go.
Okay.
Out of character, real quick. Who are we going for first, Lannon or May?
I think the first thing is to get out of here, find a spare room to put them in, and then my theory is land in first.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we should do this while we're running. Like, we don't have time to, like, debate this.
Okay.
Something explodes, and you all take off running. Well, running.
Yeah.
Running is a strong word. Hawk is sort of hobbling, and Ren, you have to basically drag him, because his legs don't work so good. Not after 15 years of being chained up.
Boy.
And you make your way up the steps. Thankfully, the two honor guards outside the Hero's Rest are no longer present. And the hallway that led up to the entrance of the Hero's Rest is really, really big. There's huge hallways branching off, but there's no, like, small nooks and corners. It's all huge windows and
open, large
pillars, and yeah, like, it's very big. And you are heading in the, like, general direction of the explosion. Well, tell me where you want to go. Are you deferring to Cat and his sense of smell to find Lannon, or what are you doing?
Oh yeah, we need to
Yeah, I think following Cat. I think we don't want to go towards the explosion. We want to go away from it. That's presumably where everyone else is going.
Unless Lannon caused the explosion.
Well, fair enough.
I mean, he is a mage, so the odds of him causing the explosion are not zero.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think we should follow Cat, because again, this is the distraction we've been waiting for, so.
Yep.
Okay, so Hawk sort of kneels down in front of Cat. He's like, you have the Inquisitor sent, boy? And Cat barks at him. He says, okay, go find the Inquisitor. Go on. And Cat barks again, and he, like, skitters off down the hallway.
At some point, you're going to have to tell me about why you named that dog that.
I wanted a cat growing up, and then my stupid kid brother brought home a giant Mabari, and so I named him Cat to spite my baby brother.
I didn't mean now, but okay, thanks. We take off running after Cat.
As much as you can with your brother draped on your back.
Well,
right,
yeah, you know.
Yeah, Ren's not doing so great, but, you know, that's just his default state now. So you all take off running after Cat. And Cat seems to alarmingly be following the flow. Like, you can see people down the hallway running toward the source of the explosion, presumably, and Cat seems to be following them.
Oh, God.
Oh, shit.
And he is taking you around one very large corner, and as soon as you make it around that corner, Landon Llewellyn goes flying past you and hits a wall hard.
Fuck.
Skittered, like, skid to a stop.
And Cat barks like, I found him!
Good dog!
I shout at Landon. Landon, are you okay? What's going on?
Landon, like, drags himself up. He has his spectral blade in one hand, and he says, oh, hey, there you are! I have good news and I have bad news! And then there's another explosion.
Us too!
Do you want to go first? I feel like we're kind of pressed for time, so if it's really important, we just need to get it out of the way.
We found Hawk and Ren! Alive!
Hello, Hawk, good to see you again. Hawk's like, wish the circumstances were better, Inquisitor. Yeah, same. Who's this?
This is my brother.
I'm sorry, what?
We'll deal with it later!
Okay, my turn. Good news, I now know why the First Warden was being so cagey and refusing to talk to people. And there's another explosion. You hear Tom Rainier shout. He says, the bad news is it's because she's under a blood mage thrall.
Fuck.
I would like everyone to roll arcane lore for me. No surprises there. No surprises there.
Yep.
So Cassandra and Elian, you both know, more so because blood mages are so incredibly feared that you've just heard of thralls. It's like the worst thing a blood mage can do. Using blood magic, you can take control of the mind of another living creature. And apparently, the First Warden, Tamir Vasan, is a blood mage thrall, that's not good. That's very not good.
So we should leave, right? We should leave.
We need May!
We can't just
We
leave.
need to find May Varys.
What do you mean we can't just leave? We should find May and then we should leave.
He says, no, we can't just leave. The Wardens are in the hands of a blood mage. We need to stop this.
I find the easiest way to stop catastrophes is to leave.
He gets really close to you, Sabrina, with his spectral blade. He's like, look, a couple years ago, I made a decision to let the Wardens remain in the south of Thedas, and I am really starting to regret that decision. I have to see this through.
Oh, so this is your fault.
He grits
my
his
God.
teeth. No, I didn't make the... just come with me! And he, starts barreling off toward, the direction from which he was thrown. The scene that he leads you to is complete chaos. You can see the First Warden, or the woman you presume is the First Warden, because she looks like the First Warden. Like, she has this very ornate, griffin-inspired armor, and she looks like a fucking badass. She's got a two-handed broadsword, and she's going up against Tom Rainier with a sword and shield. And Tom looks like he's barely holding his own. And there's this wide circle of Grey Wardens around them, like, they don't know what's going on. Because on the one hand, that's a Grey Warden. On the other hand, that's the First Warden. But on the other hand, there's at least 4 or 5 hands involved. Tamira Vasan, the First Warden, has blood running out of her eyes. And that is a very distinctive feature of a blood thrall.
Cool.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Great. Oh
Hate
god,
that.
so good. Sweet. I turn around and sort of thrust Ren at Levon Hawk.
Hawk catches him and almost falls over.
Like, you can't really do anything anyways, but try not to let my brother die. And I take my sword out.
I'll do my best, I guess.
Cat, guard them!
Cat barks.
Good boy.
He adopts an aggressive posture and starts growling at anything that gets too close. So Lennon rushes forward, and he is the first one to break into the fray. He uses his spectral blade and catches the First Warden unawares, and manages to knock her aside with a burst of magical force. And he says, she's not our enemy, not our real one, he says to Tom and to the rest of you. And he says, in order to end a blood mage's thrall, you have to find the blood mage that cast it and kill them before you even have the chance of taking the magic off.
How are we gonna do that?
He says, well, I mean, I'd start with some of those warden mages that she's been bringing into the into the fortress over the past couple months, and he looks around at the assembled wardens. And there are quite a few of them. There's probably about 24, and about maybe a fifth of them are mages, maybe? Because the wardens do recruit mages. They'll recruit anyone, basically.
Okay. I, take out my sword and I go, motherfucking Shem, and I stalk over there and I'm like, which one of you assholes is a blood mage?
Oh my god. That's not going to work.
Is there an intimidation score or something like that?
I don't...
Yeah, strength intimidation.
Yes! Oh, sweet. Hey, I've got actual stats in that. Oh!
Oh, man!
Lame! I guess that's like in par with this tiny little elf man.
I actually want Cassandra to try just because it'd be really funny.
13 is pretty good.
It's better than me, I hate this.
So you rolled a pretty good score. Do you want to say anything? Like a witty one-liner, Cassandra?
No pressure.
Right, no pressure. Like the one who's not good at talking.
Just repeating, which one of you is a blood mage?
Blood mage, show yourself.
So the group of the Warden mages are all sort of huddled together. And when, Sabre runs up, they take a step back, but they don't, flee or anything. But then when Cassandra comes up, this, almost 7-foot tall, horned Kunari, one of them, an elfin mage in the back, fucking breaks out in a run.
Oh, I sprint after that dude.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna try, a flying tackle.
All right, let's have everyone roll initiative, first of all, and I'll have this as, the beginning action. So you hit it with a flying tackle. I'll give you this action. It's the only thing you're going to be able to do, Sabre. So just roll to hit. Yeah. You tackle this mage straight to the ground. And yep, they go down like a sack of potatoes. Their arm sort of flies out to guard their face, and as the sleeve of their armor rides up, you can see crimson red Valisline around their arm, Sabre.
Oh, fuck. That's bad. That's bad. Oh,
Cassandra,
shit, that's bad.
you are first up in the initiative order.
Is it him?
It's definitely him.
Okay. Arcane Bolt time.
A 10 hits. Go ahead and roll damage. 11 damage. Excellent. And that's penetrating because it's Arcane Bolt, right?
Mm-hmm. Wait, what is it? It says bonus damage equal to the casting roll's dragon die.
So the casting roll's dragon die was 3. So is it 14?
Yeah.
Okay. Next up in the order is Sabre. You are directly over this elven, presumably blood mage, with the crimson Valisline on their arm. What do?
I'm gonna give you one chance to release the first warden.
The blood mage looks up at you and is silent for a moment, and he says, "You should be on our side."
I punch him hard. I'm just gonna punch him with my fucking...
Roll to hit. Roll plus brawling.
It's wrong answer, motherfucker.
You punch this guy in the face, and it knocks a tooth loose. And he spits out a mouthful of blood, and he says, "Do you not want to see your people avenged?"
Avenge my people by locking my brother in the fucking basement for 15 years and sucking magic out of him?
He says, "That was the sin of the Grey Wardens, not of our people. Not of the Helathen."
Oh, that takes me back. I think I, stop. What?
The Grey Wardens are the ones who put him there. That's where they've always put the heroes of the previous blights. Our cause is not theirs. We want to rebuild Arlathan. We want to avenge our people. Isn't that what you want?
Yes. Fuck.
Sabre?
When he says that, I get off of him, and I turn just to look at the Grey Warden, and I start heading towards her.
Sabre, don't forget, you have a thing with blood mages.
That's true. It's a lot of fucking information right now. Oh, fuck, no, you're actually right, because I hate blood mages.
You do. I mean, understandably, you might be more angry with the Grey Wardens for what they did to Ren, but blood magic, using blood magic to avenge him, may not sit well with you.
Fuck.
Also, reminder out of character, all that talk is Solas's talk, and we've already been warned to not listen to him.
But in the moment, I'm not gonna remember.
I know,
that.
that's fair. I'm just pointing it out because it's been a long time.
Fuck. I'm gonna stick with my first thing, because right now, I've just been, insanely stressed out by finding my brother who's been tortured for years. So, he's not thinking straight. He's gonna head for the Great Warden.
Fuck's sake.
Okay. Well, you can't get too far. You punched a guy, and that was a major action. But you can use your minor action. You can get up as a minor action, but you can't move.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
The elf did not seem to think that would work. He's amazed that worked. It's your turn, Elian.
Fuck me.
Yeah, I'm looking at you do something.
What the fuck am I supposed to do?
Stop him.
Murder. That's what I would suggest.
The mage is the main point. I'm gonna attack him with my rapier, I guess.
Okay, 14 is a hit.
Okay.
10 damage. The Blood Mage is not looking so good. Not dead, but not great either. Unfortunately, it is now the Blood Mage's turn.
Cool.
Oh, of course.
And when a Blood Mage gets below a certain level of health, they get to do some fun stuff.
Oh no.
Blood magic is, yeah, it's pretty bad. Let's see, where's that spell?
Every time I fight a blood mage in Dragon Age, it's like, if there's a blood mage, I'm like, fuck, kill that thing first before it does the thing!
The Blood Mage uses their own wounds to strengthen them. They take an additional 1d6 damage, and then... So they take an additional 1 damage, and then they cast the spell Hemorrhage with a bonus on you.
That's why I was like, it's hemorrhage, fuck!
Oh no.
You have to kill them before they cast that! That's why I always kill them.
Oh god, that description is so metal. You take control of a large volume of a target's blood and force it out through their mouth, nose, and eyes, unless they succeed a con stamina test versus your spell power.
Jesus.
This is why I always attack the blood mage first. I was like, no hemorrhage, not my watch.
I'm very glad now that I decided to go attack someone else.
So that is a hit. So you are going to take a lot of damage, Elian.
Oh no!
So blood comes fountaining out of your nose and out of your mouth. And,
hate that.
yeah, blood magic is no bueno. It's not a whole lot of fun to be inflicted with blood magic.
I definitely turn around and I'm like, Elian?
Fuck.
That's what I was saying. I think I turn around and I see that. And it just like it's the equivalent of like a dog being called by two people it really likes. And so you hear Sabre be like, Elian, are you okay?
What do you think?
This blood mage was really hoping you were just gonna keep walking.
I narrow my eyes at the blood mage and I say, if you were that interested in helping me, you wouldn't attack my friends. And I turn around.
Sabre is not that bright.
No, he's not.
Really, really not.
Cassandra, you're up next.
Sure am. Alright. It's definitely time to kill that blood mage. It's like, hey, first of all, I hate you and your magic is gross, and also you're hurting my friends. That's bad. So, let us do... Fire is great. Let's do fire. Fire is good. So I'm gonna cast Flame Blast on that motherfucker.
Do it! 18 is a hit, so it needs to make a dex test, is it?
Yeah. Acrobatics versus my spell power.
So no, that's half damage.
Okay.
7 damage. Yeah, he's really getting fucked up. As you are about to finish off this blood mage, like you can tell he's trying to come up with some get out of jail free card. And from behind you, you hear a roar that sounds a lot like an archdemon, because you know exactly what an archdemon sounds like now. You heard it screaming just a couple weeks ago out on the coast of the Notion Sea. And you all look behind you, and the one thing that you see first is not wings, but like the shadow of invisible wings. And they are coming out from the back of Ren Sabre, who is being surrounded by Grey Wardens and whose eyes have gone completely black. He casts some spell, which is not a thing that Ren can do. He is not a mage. He casts a spell, and every single warden around him gets thrown hard onto the ground.
What's happening?
Nothing good!
I can see that.
Landon in the back is like, fuck!
Keep him from killing anyone!
How would you propose we do that?
I don't know! I'm not a magic person.
Go ahead and... I want you to roll something to see, like, any sort of cutting thing. Arcane lore, Sabre only. Because it is only going to matter if you remember this, Sabre. Sabre, you remember, Levon Hawk was telling you, when you were busting him out of his crypt, the only thing that you think might be able to bring him back is if he sees something he's familiar with. Because that was the thing. In order to give Ren the control of the wheel, as it were, is to surround him with things and people and places that he remembers. And in this hall, pretty much the only thing he knows is you.
Is me. Okay, fuck. I take off at a run.
And Len is like, oh god, what are you doing? Are you out of your fucking mind?
Probably. He needs someone who's familiar.
It is your turn, Sabre.
Okay,
Ooh, perfect.
I'm like running just full speed ahead, trying to get to Ren before anything worse happens.
Yeah, you approach Ren, and he looks like your brother only in, like, a vague, abstract kind of way. His eyes are completely black, and even though you can't see the wings, they do cast a shadow somehow behind him. And Hawk is sort of scrabbling backwards, and poor Cat. Cat was doing his best to protect, but now he's confused about what needs protect and what needs attack.
I'm gonna skid to my knees and like drop my my spear beside him and like take his take his head in my hands and be like, Ren, come back to me, come on.
He says something in it sounds to Sabray's ears like Chaucerian English would sound to your ears, Amber. Like, you think it's Elvish, maybe, but the lexicon is weird and the grammar is strange, the sentence structure is weird. It sounds like ancient Elven.
That's not good. That's not good. Ren, come on. Come back to me. I'm, like, shaking him.
Go ahead and roll Willpower Faith.
Ooh.
You shake your brother by his shoulders, you say his name over and over, and it takes an upsettingly long amount of time. Like, it takes, you're starting to think he's maybe gonna just, break your neck or something.
Oh, jeez.
But eventually he blinks his eyes once hard, and then he doubles over, and he just wails in agony.
Oh, God. I hold him, and I'm like, you came back. You came back!
He doesn't answer. He can't answer. He's in way too much pain. But it seems to have worked. Like, the shadowy wings are gone now. Lennon is, he wants to analyze, as a mage, he wants to analyze what just happened, but he does not have time. He is a little bit preoccupied. He goes back to assisting Tom Rainier, and Tom manages to pin the first warden down under his shield. And Lennon looks back at the rest of you and he says, "Keep the blood mage alive, we need to question them!"
Fuck, okay.
Elian, you're up.
Elian, you're up.
Right. Perfect timing.
I apparently will not be participating in the rest of this battle.
Elian, if you had to guess, you'd say that the blood mage has maybe 8 hit points left.
If you had to guess.
Elian's gonna take the hilt of his rapier and just attempt to bash him on the head with it really, really hard.
Alright, I guess this would technically be closer to brawling than anything else. Yeah, okay.
Oh, nice.
This blood mage was already really, really weakened. And Elian swings the butt of their rapier into their temple, and they lose consciousness. Yeah, okay, so you're out of initiative order. Congrats.
Yay!
So this scene is a fucking nightmare. Like, the Grey Wardens, you're surrounded by Grey Wardens, and every single one of them is absolutely horrified and confused about what's going on.
Fair enough.
You've got an unconscious blood mage. You've got the first warden, one of the most powerful women in the Anderfells, currently pinned underneath Tom Rainier's shield, thrashing and hissing and spitting blood, quite literally. And you've got poor Ren Sabray, wheezing in agony as he's desperately trying to control the soul of the archdemon inside of him. And Levon Hawk sort of stands up leaning on Maeveris's staff, and he says, "Oh, God, I am not in any sort of shape to be doing this." And he sort of limps over to where the first warden is sprawled out on the ground underneath Tom Rainier's shield. And he looks down at her for a while and he says, "Okay, well, we need the blood mage alive to question, and there's only one other way to remove a blood mage's thrall." And he's like, "Nose game!" And he immediately puts his finger on his nose. And Cassandra, you, roll arcane lore for me, Cassandra.
Okay.
14. So Cassandra, unless the blood mage in question dies, there's only one other way to remove a blood mage thrall, and that's with blood magic. That's the only other way to get rid of it. So one of the mages is gonna have to use blood magic.
I immediately put my hand on my nose. I was like, no, absolutely not.
Aladdin is looking between the two of you. He's like, "What the fuck is the nose game?" And he looks at you, Sabrina, like, "Is this a Shen thing?"
I'm staring in horror. Are they insane? Were they possessed?
Hawk thumps the Inquisitor on the back. He's like, "Oh, that's bad luck. Looks like it's you." He's like, "What are you talking about? You didn't do the nose game, Inquisitor, so you're gonna have to be the one to take the thrall off." And he's like, "Wait, fuck!" God damn it! Fine. He's like, I'm gonna need someone to do the cutting, though, because I've only got one fucking hand, if you'll recall.
That's true, I
I snort in the background. Normally I'd be happy to volunteer, Inquisitor, but I'm a little busy.
Like, yes, I'm sure you just can't wait for a reason to cut a mage up, he says, rather icily.
I sort of grin back at him.
He does not grin back, he glares at you. So who wants to, Hawk will do it if no one else wants to, but someone's gonna have to cut the Inquisitor's palm for him to cast this spell.
I mean, Ellie can do it, if somebody else watches the Blood Mage. I've got a sword and I have a dagger, which would be better suited.
Right, exactly, you've got the pointy thing. I've got a staff.
I can help you.
He took a pretty nasty hit when he was thrown into that wall, so he kind of limps over toward you, and he grabs, like, the end of your knife, with his one remaining hand, and he yanks it down. And that seems to be enough, and he's like, I hate blood magic. And rather reluctantly, he casts a blood magic spell, and the First Warden stops as he casts it, and then sort of sags back down onto the ground. And Landon is, like, shaking his hands, like, oh, I always feel dirty when I have to. Ugh.
I offer him a handkerchief.
Okay, we should probably explain to the armed wardens what the fuck is going on so they don't attack us. Also, we need to find Mayveris.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah, Landon is, he's gonna take initiative on that because he's used to that. He was the Inquisitor for several years, and he's used to taking charge of situations. So he says, by the authority of, I'm not the Inquisitor anymore, by authority of the Herald of Andraste, he says, like, pointing his blade out toward the surrounding Grey Wardens, I hereby place your First Warden under temporary arrest while we find out what the fuck is going on in your shithole fortress.
Not exactly the tack I would have chosen.
And he says, Tom, get her up, we're taking her back to her office. And he says, all of you, and he points to, like, every single named player character and non-player character. He says, upstairs, now! And he, like, limps up toward a set of stairs.
I guess Elian grabs the Blood Mage.
Yep, the Blood Mage is coming too, unwillingly.
Yeah.
Right, they're knocked out, so who cares?
So all of you go trudging up this set of circular stairs. And there's, like, a path of destruction leading down this set of stairs. Like, obviously, the fight started up in this office, and, like, it just carried downstairs. And yeah, you confirm it as soon as you get up into what can only be the First Warden's office. It's huge and lovely, but also it's completely fucking destroyed. It looks like someone got thrown into a bookshelf. There's, like, a whole-ass desk that's on one side, and Landon, like, impatiently uses a burst of magic to right the desk and sit down on it. And he says to Tom, put her in the chair. And Tom, shoves the First Warden into one of the few remaining intact chairs and promptly starts to tie her to it. And Landon sort of crosses his arms over his chest and he says, so, we've got a lot to talk about, you and I, First Warden.
Landon, real quick, can we have one of them go find May?
She says, what happened to May?
It's a long story, but
She was a sacrifice and a distraction.
We did not sacrifice her.
He looks to Tom Rainier and he says, can you find her? And he nods. It's like, of course, Inquisitor. And as soon as he secures the First Warden, he heads back down. And Landon is left staring at this woman who still has, like, drying blood running down her face.
Do we have the Blood Mage tied up, too?
The Blood Mage is unconscious.
Okay, but still.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Like, I mooched some extra rope.
He says, how much do you remember, First Warden? And the First Warden doesn't answer. She's sort of slumped over herself like she's in a daze. He says, you don't have anything to say for yourself? Can you even hear me? And he goes over and he, like, gets real, like, up close and personal to her. He says, Tamira Vasan, First Warden? She sort of lifts her head and stares up at him and she says, what happened? And she's, like, looking around her office in hazy disbelief.
Ooh. Okay, I think, like, so he's still crouched by his brother, but he looks up and he goes, you were a thrall. Now tell us everything that happened.
She says, a thrall? What? And Lannon, who is still up in her face, says, the Helathen infiltrated the Grey Warden ranks. Very easily, I might remind you, she says, and they very easily put the First Warden under a thrall. And that's not even, like, addressing. And he, like, turns to Ren, who is still wheezing, sort of on his knees. I can't even... The hero Ferelden has allegedly been dead for 15 years. And I'm sorry, what happened? How did you find him?
I feel like Elian takes this point to explain as best he can. So, okay, we found Hawk, and then we went to look for his resting place, and there were obvious signs that the Wardens had been going in and out, and we went into one of the crypts, and Ren was still alive.
If you could call this alive.
Yeah.
Also, Hawk was poisoned. Magebane.
Lannon turns back to the Warden. He looks pissed off. Like, he looks fucking livid. He says, "Your order only continues to exist in the south of Thedas because of my good word. And this is what you've done with it? This is what I spared back at the Battle of Adamant Fortress? How long has he been kept in that crypt? Have all of the heroes of the previous Blights been kept in crypts since they died? Are they still alive too?" The first Warden doesn't say anything. He rips his rapier out and activates it and, like, points it at her throat. He says, "You are staring at a pissed-off Dalish mage, so I would advise you to answer my fucking question."
Sabre looks, like, really impressed for the first time. Like, he's just sort of, like, like, he had been standing up with his hand on the hilt of his sword, and now he's, like, stopped and, like, open mouth, gaping at Lannon.
Like, damn, that's hot.
The first Warden finally speaks, sort of through her teeth, and she says, "Those that make the sacrifice know what it is they're in for." He says, "That is objectively not true. I know for a fact that Ren Sabre was a Warden for less than a year when he made the sacrifice. Did he know what it would sign him up for if he killed the Archdemon? Did he know he would be imprisoned for eternity under the crypt in Weishaupt? Did he know? Did you let him know in the pamphlet that you handed out to all the Grey Wardens when they take their joining?" And the first Warden doesn't answer.
Oh, I run at her with Meryl's knife out, and I hold it to her throat.
Ooh, damn.
Ooh. And you know what, Lannon's so pissed off, he's tempted to just kind of let you.
I think I'm not gonna, like, hurt her yet. It's, like, it's enough where she's bleeding, but not, like, she's not gonna die from it. And I'm like, answer the fucking question, bitch.
She bares her teeth at you, and she says, "I know it's not palatable to think about. But you know what's even less palatable? Archdemons running free in Thedas. The Grey Wardens take the soul of the Archdemon into their own soul, and what, we're just supposed to let them continue to live? They're dangerous. We have to keep them contained."
There's no other solution. This is the only solution that you could think of. I have the, like, knife tighter against her throat.
She says, "Oh, I would love to hear what your solution would be. What would you say to destroy the soul of an old god? Do you have any ideas?"
I'm not the fucking expert now, am I?
Lannon is, like, rubbing his forehead. He's like, "I am starting to regret allowing you to continue to exist in the south of Thedas, First Warden. If this is the sort of secrets that you've been keeping all this time." Tom Rainier was talking about how there's a movement in the order to reform, but I'm not even sure this order deserves to even exist anymore. And so here is the big choice of this episode.
Oh boy.
So obviously, the Grey Wardens have been infiltrated by blood mages, and you don't know to what extent some of the shit that's happened lately is the Helithen blood mages' fault. But there is some shit that is undeniably 100% the Grey Wardens.
I'll say that's 15 years minimum of...
Yeah, that is definitely them. Mm-hmm.
The whole locking up the heroes of the previous Blights, that's on them. That's pretty fucking heinous. And Levon Hawk, he's been imprisoned for 3 years. That's on them.
Yeah, why?
Hawk said that there was something about they were using his blood for wards and his father's blood for wards and, like, people in his bloodline.
Hawk will explain, yes. Hawk says, "A long time ago, my father assisted the Grey Wardens at a prison that they were using to contain Corypheus." And Lannon kind of flinches at the name but doesn't say anything. He says, "People in my bloodline can use the magic to strengthen some of the wards that the Wardens have created. You could have just asked, you know. I'd have let you strengthen magical wards if they were for a good reason." And Tamir Vasan doesn't answer.
It's because they weren't for a good reason and they fucking knew it. I'm with Lannon. It's not worth reforming this. Burn it to the ground.
Out of character. They're literally the only ones who know how to stop a blight, though.
Yeah.
Why should that be out of character? Say that in character. That's a good
Exactly.
fucking point.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like,
So, like, there is, like, in theory, you do know how to end a blight now. Like, obviously, the thing you have to do is gather an army to fight the Darkspawn and then have a Grey Warden kill the Archdemon.
And take its soul.
And that's how you end a blight. Like, it's worked in the past. But there's also a lot of soft knowledge that the Grey Wardens have. You know, they are experts in fighting Darkspawn and ending blights. And there's also the treaties, unique to the Grey Wardens. This actually roll historical or cultural lore, whichever's higher, all of you.
Okie doke.
Fun.
Because this is the biggest disadvantage if you decide to disband the Grey Wardens. Man, Sabray.
Yeah, it's typical.
Okay, so Elian and Cassandra, you both know the treaties. A long time ago, the Grey Wardens signed treaties that give them what's called the Right of Conscription. This is something that is unique to the Grey Wardens. They have the authority to conscript people in defense of a blight. They can build an army that way. They've got treaties with the Circles of Magi. They've got treaties with the Dalish Elves. They've got treaties with the Dwarves of Orzammar. They have the authority to build an army to fight Darkspawn. And if you disband the Grey Wardens, you're also getting rid of that privilege. You will not be able to conscript people.
What if we just disband this particular castle?
How about we just burn Voice out to the ground?
That's the Bray's take. Why don't we just burn the whole place down? I don't like castles, I don't like being inside, and I really don't like these fucking people.
I understand there is no good to come out of this situation, but we really need to consider this carefully. We can't afford to lose all of the treaties they've formed. We can't afford to just eliminate their knowledge. Is there some way we could maybe, I don't know, put somebody that we trust at the head of them?
Lannon, he looks really, really doubtful. He says, I mean, are there specific Grey Wardens that I would trust with my life? Of course, I would trust Tom Rainier with my life, but it's the whole institution. You know? He says, like, I don't see how there's a middle ground. Tom Rainier is one of the best men I've ever met, but I don't know if he could purge everything out of, all the poison out of this system.
Also, how do we know? How many more blood mages are there that are embedded, that are just...
He says, the blood mages, so far as I've been able to tell, are just Helathen. And he looks at the still unconscious blood mage, and he, like, uses the tip of his boot to slide the sleeve up. And he says, I don't know how many solas is sent here. I don't know what they're doing. Once she's conscious, I'll deal with him, he says very tightly. But they're an external force. You know? Like, whatever they've been doing to the Grey Wardens, it's from the outside. And the problem of the Grey Wardens themselves still remains. I don't see a good middle ground here, he says to the rest of you. I don't see a way we can compromise. If this is a system that would do something like this, and he gestures to Ren, to one of the best of them, can we trust that, even with a good man at the helm?
How do we fight an archdemon otherwise without them?
He says, well, we still have people that are Grey Wardens. Look, I'm not saying it's a good idea, but I just want to point out that it's also not a good idea to let them continue unchecked like this.
Absolutely not.
Agreed.
They can't just run around doing whatever they fucking please and letting people stay in torture for 15 years.
No. Not at all what I meant to argue.
He says, and I agree, and if we do decide to let them continue, it will be with strict measures. I'm just not sure that's good enough.
I don't think it'll be enough.
Could we just disband the northern wardens? Would the southerners follow?
He shakes his head. He says, I don't know. And I don't think we have the time to find out. This blight is happening. You saw an archdemon. There are drawbacks to both sides, and I designed this to be this way. I have contingencies no matter what you choose.
I'd say burn it to the ground.
Right, yeah, Sabray is pissed.
So a quick list of pros and cons. If pros of keeping the Grey Wardens, you'd have the treaties at your disposal, which would be good. You could use their expertise, their knowledge of how to kill Darkspawn, that kind of thing, to a much better degree. Cons, they're fucking awful. Like, they've been keeping the heroes of the previous blights tortured, in like perpetual torture for years, which is horrible. pros of disbanding the Wardens, that shit would be gone. Like, that would end. And you could find an ethical solution to the problems that the Grey Wardens have posed. But the cons, you wouldn't have the treaties. You wouldn't be able to conscript people. You'd lose a lot of expertise and knowledge that the Grey Wardens have.
So practically speaking, almost we should do it, but ethically, it's...
Yeah, it's really fucking grey.
It's a practical versus ethical decision.
Mm-hmm.
Do we imprison and or, whatever, the ones that are most in charge of it and disband them after are needing them, or do we just disband them immediately?
Yeah. Sabre is not going to do this, but there is a consideration for there's an ethical standpoint to keeping them in power long enough to figure out how to solve this. And then, because the problem is how many people die if we disband them now and then we don't have the resources at our disposal.
Yeah, that's more to the point of what Elian was trying to say, is not to keep these specific people in power, but to use wardens that we trust to get their knowledge, to use the things and address the problem later. Basically, a band-aid.
No one Grey Warden is going to have all the expertise as the entire order will.
Yeah. Okay, I think Elian he just looks uncomfortably between everybody and then looks over at Sabre and at Ren. I don't know. Does Ren have an opinion? If anyone should be able to make this call, I feel like maybe it should be him.
I glare at you.
We haven't been imprisoned by them. We didn't join them.
Of course he wants to disband them. Why is that even a question?
Sabre?
Lethalon.
I turn.
He is breathing pretty hard and he lifts his head. He does not look good. He somehow looks worse now that he's been up and about.
I kneel down in front of him. I'm like, don't strain yourself.
He says, I'm not so weak that I can't talk, Lethalon.
I clasp his shoulder.
He says, I heard the others scream sometimes. I think it was Garahel. He says, I remember during my funeral, I was conscious but I couldn't move. And Alistair said that they would put me next to Garahel. And I heard screaming sometimes from the crypt beside me. I think Garahel is still alive too. I think they're all still alive. In just as much agony as I was.
Dear God.
He looks at Tamira Vasan, who is looking appropriately cowed. He says, Did you ever hear them scream, First Warden? Or did you not deign to go down to the crypt enough? And Tamira Vasan does not have an answer. He says, I joined the Wardens because I had no choice. I joined the Wardens because I had the blight and I was going to die if I didn't. If I had known that this was... He sort of doubles over it. I would have chosen death before this. So there's your answer.
Yep, that's a pretty straightforward.
Ren Sabre is pro-disband the Grey Wardens.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I stare at him. I think I clasp his face in my hands and I say, Your Abelas, Ren, we're gonna find a solution. And then I turn back and I say, burn it to the ground.
Okay, you are the only one who hasn't weighed in.
That's true.
During this whole thing, I feel like I've been, listening and waiting for Ren to say something, too. And I'm like, oh, good, finally we asked his opinion. Sort of, looking, and especially looking at, Sabre, I agree with both you and your brother. Despite all of the knowledge Grey Wardens have, what they have done is unforgivable. There must be another, better way.
I nod my head at you, grateful.
Lannon sort of half releases a breath and he says, You're sure? We're going to lose access to the treaties. We're going to lose access to a wealth of knowledge. I don't disagree with you. Ethically, I am in your corner, but I want you to know the full gravity of what you're doing if you decide to disband the Wardens.
We cannot win a war with this legacy of hatred and pain behind us. We must find a new solution.
Might not win a war either way.
And at least we will have died knowing we did the right thing.
Lennon says it would be a cold comfort. He turns and he looks at Tamira Vasan sort of lingeringly. And he says, Well, why not? I built an army once before with my bare hands. Might as well go for the hat trick. By authority of the Herald of Andraste, I hereby disband the Grey Wardens.
Dorian, don't read this at the table. Seriously, don't say I didn't warn you. Lannan has disbanded the Grey Wardens. They'd been infiltrated by blood mages from the Helithen, but worse yet, they'd been imprisoning and torturing the still living heroes who ended the previous blights. We went to the crypts, and we found Ren Sabre alive. He's possessed by the archdemon and in agonizing pain. Worse, he didn't seem to be the only one. The other crypts showed signs of repeated entry, and we heard from Tom Rainier that the Wardens have been emerging from the crypts with signs of fresh blood on them. We broke the bonds holding Ren, and we're bringing him back with us to Minrathous. I'm still not sure we're right to do so, but we had very little choice. He recognized Sabre and Zevran's name, but honestly, we're all out of our depth here. I'm sure a magister of your standing has access to more arcane secrets than us, though I doubt there's a book helpfully titled Archdemon Possession. You'll find a way to tell the others, but I've enclosed 2 letters to try to soften the news as much as possible. I expect Lannan has already told you more than I'm able to write here. Elian.
So, you find Maevaris. It doesn't take long, like, Lannan had sent Blackwall away in sort of a desperate situation, but Blackwall finds her immediately, and she's, like, totally charming the other Grey Wardens, and they're chatting like they're good friends, and, like, swapping stories about armor care, and, robe maintenance, and... As if there was any fucking doubt that Maevaris would be able to charm a bunch of Grey Wardens, like, of course not. You meet back up with her, and she is horrified by what you tell her.
Fenris, you were correct that Hawk is still in Weishaupt. We'd initially been told he had left some months ago, but we weren't satisfied by that, so we set Cat on the scent. By the way, it was brilliant of you to send him along with us. Damn dog is too smart and saved our skins a closer inspection by getting us to wear disguises. We found him in the dungeons, I'm afraid, and Hawk had been dosed for some time with Magebane. Maevaris was able to heal him of the worst of it, and we broke him out of the cell. He was delighted to see Cat and to hear you'd been thinking of him. We plan to bring him back to the Pavis estate. Yours, Elian.
Lannan decides, well, he doesn't so much decide, he sort of suggests, and unless you guys come up with a better idea, you probably have to go along with it, to leave Tom Rainier in charge of the remaining Grey Wardens. He leaves him with explicit instructions, and, like, obviously Rainier is not happy about the Grey Wardens being disbanded. Like, he is a Grey Warden, and he's not a big fan, but at the same time, like, he also saw Ren Sabre. He realizes that they have committed some truly unforgivable crimes. And he agrees to be the instrument of Inquisitor Llewellyn's wishes at Weishaupt, while the rest of you head back to Minrathous. He agrees to, send all remaining Grey Wardens back to wherever they want to go, because you're not here. He'll keep those with enough expertise to figure out a humane solution for the remaining heroes. They're not sure what that is yet, because obviously it's very dicey. They've got the souls of archdemons inside them, and there's not going to be a very clean way to deal with this. But they will start that process in earnest. Lannan requisitions a large carriage, and it is what all of you use to head south back toward Minrathous.
Zevran. We have news from Weishaupt. We found several disturbing things in the castle, but I'm afraid one of them will hit harder than the rest. There's no easy way to say this. Ren is alive. The reason the Wardens whisked Ren away to Weishaupt, rather than respecting his wishes and returning him to Clan Sabre for a proper funeral, is that he hadn't died. It seems, instead of killing the archdemon, he was possessed, and that this same thing had happened to the other heroes before him, seemingly all of them. But the important thing is Ren is alive, and we managed to get him away. We're all concerned, but he does have periods of lucidity. He recognizes Sabre, and he remembers you. We hope to be able to get him back, and to heal him body and soul when we get back to Minrathous. I know this is difficult news, and I wanted you to be able to hear about it privately before Dorian tells the others. Elian.
Hey friends, Tessa here. If you're desperate to hear the next episode, chances are good that you can by joining our Discord server. We post links to all episodes and pre-release, and you can even chat with us and listen live as we record. Join us by going to bit.ly/CFCDiscord. For more information on the show, character biographies, and links to social media, head to our website, critfail.club or critfailclub.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr. Crit Fail Club does not advertise at all, so if you like what you hear, tell a friend who might also like it, make a post on social media about it, or leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Full episodes are available on our YouTube channel, bit.ly/CFC channel, or wherever you get your podcasts.